Hi everybody, it's Zach and I like movies, and today I'm back to talk about the new Kenneth Branagh movie, A Haunting in Venice. This is the latest from Sir Kenneth Branagh, a thespian extraordinaire and a lover of all things Dutch angles, and he's back again to do another Agatha Christie adaptation where he plays Hercule Poirot, the famed detective whose mustache is just as extraordinary as his accent is silly. And it's quite ridiculous. And so this is the third time he's done one of these Agatha Christie movies, and they've been, the other two, Murder on the Orient Express and Death on the Nile, never really gelled with me. They were kind of fine at best. They were definitely there. He seemed to like really kind of nail Poirot, I think, but like everything else around him just kind of felt a little too stuffy, a little too blockbuster, a little too blockbustery. Like he was trying to make these four quadrant blockbusters that, on the one hand, is admirable, but didn't really always work, and a lot of the effects seemed pretty garish sometimes. The casting seemed to be hit or miss, especially in Death of the Nile. Like, oof. But this time around, I think he really nailed it. I was really surprised by how much I enjoyed this movie, because it's not like he's changing the form. It's not like he's changing the formula of the murder mystery, like Ryan Johnson does with the Knives Out or even Poker Face. But it's more like he's sort of using the murder mystery itself as a clothesline to hang on all of this psychological character drama with. And that's something that I think some of Christie's other books do, where even though it has the same similar like beats and the cycles of like, you know, who kills who, there's like a misdirect, and then there's a reveal in the accusing parlor. You tend to have like a bit of a genre mix-up sometimes, and here he's kind of loosely adapting Christie's Halloween Party, but he's changing it up where it's post World War II Venice, Italy, and Poirot was retired. He's, you know, mostly satisfied. He has his cakes and his pastries that he gets like twice a day, but he's not fully like settled. He's satisfied, but he's not happy, and you can tell that he's like trying to keep himself satiated, so he's not wanting to confront the horrors that he's faced. And that's something that like is really set this movie apart from the other two, I think. So Poirot is approached by his friend played by Tina Fey. She's kind of channeling this like very specific 1940s era like reporter author type that is really hard to nail if you're not like a Kate Blanchett or Rosalind Russell herself in His Girl Friday. But she brings him along to a seance at this Halloween party, and the seance is like hosted by this old opera star, and there are of course some other guests. There's a shell-shocked doctor played by Jamie Dornan, who has a really kind of creepy son played by Jude Hill, who is this was a bit of a small Belfast reunion with Dornan and Hill playing father and son, but like the son seems to be taking care of the father. It's a really interesting dynamic with those two. There's like a dead daughter who this opera singer wants to commune with, and she brings a seer played by Michelle Yeoh, and that's just kind of the setup. But like, you know, then murders happen. Hercule has to like really get down and down, but like then Hercule has to Poirot about, but like Poirot is kind of haunted because like there's a lot of ambiguity about whether or not this place actually is haunted or not. And a lot of the fun comes from like really just the tone of it all. Like when I was saying earlier about about Branagh mixing it up with Haunted in Venice is that this is kind of a horror movie, but not quite so. It's more like a horror psychological gothic drama, that kind of thing, which we don't really get at like a studio level anymore. I think the last time I really saw that was like with Del Toro's Crimson Peak a couple of years back, but yeah, it's very effective, and like it really kind of like, I think it's a little uncommercial because it's a much slower movie. It winds up being a quieter movie, and and it's even a real sad movie too, because like, well, when the joke, when the death, when the murder happens and Hercule has to do his business, he went in business interviewing everybody one by one. It winds up just being this really scene after scene of people just talking about how sad they are, and all the baggage they carry with them. Not just this collective shared horror that they all felt with World War II, but also their own personal baggage. There's like loss, there is pain, there is death, and it's kind of grim, and the whole mood of it all is so perfectly well done. Like, not just in like the great production design of this Venetian manor, just in like the cinematography of it all, and which I was very impressed with, because the last two, Branagh's last two Agatha Christie movies were very, very not great to look at sometimes, especially with like the garish looking green screen in Death of the Nile. But I think that was like a COVID shooting thing, so I can't fully hold that against it sometimes, but whatever. But here there's like these great moody, like great use of shadows. Like even in the beginning, it has like these really effective use of like Dutch angles, and like very sharp, very canted angles that like make the rooms feel way more claustrophobic than they might be. Even like in the wider, like the bigger, more open rooms, where like the space itself feels like warped because of like how it's shot in this like wide angle, and it really feels like he's taking a page out of Orson Welles. Like in like the opening with like all these like this like montage of imagery of like these sharp angles, and the way it feels so claustrophobic in the movement, and like sometimes it feels so psychologically tightening up the more it goes on. It really feels like something out of The Trial or Wells's Othello, and it's very fascinating, and it really helps capture this mood of real gothic horror. So I don't think horror junkies might not have like that visceral thrill of a horror movie, that like they might usually go for. But like there are some jump scares, and some of them are effective, others not so much. But if you're a fan of more gothic horror stuff like I am, you will leave very satisfied. Oh man, and yeah, the Dutch, yeah, it's shot beautifully. All the performances I think are really good, and I think Branagh really, he's not just having a lot of, he doesn't just clearly have a lot of fun playing Hercule Poirot, but this time around he really got a sense of like what a lot of the internality of the character, the way he feels so haunted by the own tragedies he's seen, and how his job is like to investigate a death, and how that sort of like has like sort of chipped away at his spirituality. Like and granted there's a lot of ambiguity about like whether or not he's like seeing ghosts or anything, but we do get a sense that he is personally haunted by the things he's seen, and it's like really has him like grappling, him and like the rest of the cast like grappling and confronting with their own like beliefs in like mortality and the afterlife, and even God. Like Poirot just sort of like has seen so much horror and tragedy that he doesn't think there is a God anymore. And I thought that was, and I never seen that kind of that look into Poirot's character from Branagh yet. I mean, like they tried to do that in The Death of the Nile, but it just kind of wind up being, we're just sorry for his mustache, which was really silly. But yeah, here it was. I thought it was very very effective as far as the character drama goes. But I would say my biggest criticism is that the murder mystery itself is kind of routine. Not that it's bad, and maybe like some red flags will pop up a little more readily if you're paying attention. But man, like it did feel a little cut and dry in some places. Like there wasn't, not that it needed a lot of like mixing up with like how Ryan was like kind of like mixing up the murder mystery and the Knives Out, but it definitely could have used a little spicing up as far as the murder mystery plot goes. But everything else, I really liked. It felt like so perfectly moody. It felt genuinely spooky at times. Some shots I thought were just so gorgeous. It doesn't matter whether or not it gets like nominated for Oscars, but I do think it will get overlooked around end of the year. But I think this is definitely worth your time. I really hope you see this. This was easily the best surprise of the year for me personally, and yeah, it was a wonderfully moody and gothic and fun, kind of cozy in a way. It's that kind of it's something that feels right to break in the fall season, and yeah, I thought this is easily the best of Sir Kenneth Branagh's Hercule Poirot movies, and it's very interesting. It's very interesting how he started his career out as like the new Laurence Olivier with all these Shakespeare adaptations, and then he just kind of became like a bit of a director for hire for shit like a Jack Ryan movie or whatever that Artemis Fowl adaptation he tried to do was that really bombed. But yeah, now it just seems that he's really happy just doing these Hercule Poirot movies, and I think if they like sort of maintain this level of quality, I would happily take another 3. But yeah, and really hope, however the strikes pan out, I do want to see in the future Kenneth Branagh cast in a Knives Out movie, or at the very least in season 2 of Poker Face. We probably won't get the true Hercule Poirot meets Benoit Blanc fan fiction that I'm sure exists out there, but I think that'd be a lot of fun. So yeah, Haunting of Venice was really good. I'm feeling a strong 7 out of 10 for this. And so, did you see Haunting of Venice? What did you think of it? What's another movie that you think would be perfect for bringing in the fall season? What did you think of the other Hercule Poirot movies that Branagh did? Well, yeah, that's the review. Please like, comment, subscribe if you liked it. Support the strike, both for SAG and for the WGA. Yeah, I think that's it. And I got a lot of movies I still need to watch, and I will see you later.